My name's Heather. Welcome to the Vines Den. I'm going to let them all introduce themselves, but just to say hello and grab some food. If you haven't already gotten some, it's delicious. You can take a plate to go. There's so much after, too. So thanks to Oscar and Martina for cooking. Yeah, and so we've got some tattooing going on, as you can see behind you. This is the LANDBACK Rewind Art Gallery show as well. And so there's lots of activities happening. So if you'd like a tattoo, you can register at the front as well. So we're here tomorrow for them too, if that interests you. And thank you for coming to the plant medicine talk, and I'll let Tasha take it from here, who's moderating.
And happy birthday, Heather!
Happy birthday, Heather! Tasha Sayaven Sana Squeak. Elizabeth Taoya xʷməthkʷəy. I'm just learning my language, and we were just talking about just say it. One of the beautiful things we are as humans in this time is we're walking on this land, and just as much as we are working hard to preserve and protect and love, they all loves back. And I always like to be able to say the language as little as I know, and I'm still learning. But it's beautiful to be gathering here today. Thank you all for coming and making the space so warm for us. What we thought we would do is just let everyone introduce yourselves, and if you could speak, share a little bit about how you walk on this land.
Thank you, Creator. My name is Alicia Williams. My traditional name is Kayaptanat. It means giving season, or when the salmon come. My grandfather is from Sumas First Nation and Swinomish Nation, and my grandmother is from Musqueam Nation and Secwepemc Nation. And I have been learning a lot about my culture and medicine, and it's something that I didn't learn about when I was a child because of the residential school system and it getting taken away from my grandparents. And I've been living or working in the downtown east side for 7 years now, 8. And that's lots, right?
Natural storyteller.
Yeah.
Give it her. Hello, everybody. I was about to say I'm everybody's auntie, but that felt like a lot. It felt like a lot right now. Squile, it, ayuk, tanayuk, twitstanakli, and quenshaman, cease quiansna, unhothkan squalowin, unwinoxton squalowin teat suits. I also want to actually recognize that we have some special guests that travel a long ways. My friend Zina and Marita, who I've just met from Melbourne, and just wanted to acknowledge that they're here, and thank you for being here today. And looking forward to stories that get to learn about each other. So I'm excited to be here. I don't really know much what else to say. I'm going to hand it on to Jazz, and I'm looking forward to our day today, our conversation. Yay.
Yeah. Oh, I haven't spoken on mic like this in a little while.
Just karaoke.
Just karaoke.
Sing it.
Yeah, just karaoke. There's no drinks here, so it's a bit much. My name's Jazz. I was born and raised around so-called Kamloops area, and all over the southern interior.
was really lucky to have like a lot of plant teachings as a young kid in that area through my mom and my grandparents. And then I moved to Coast Salish territories and was back and forth between here and home for a few years before I started staying here full time. When I first came here, I met Cease and started learning more about the plants that are here. We have a lot of plants in common, but lots of them are different, new plants to me. And then in 2019, I think, Cease was doing a fellowship, is that what you call it? Fellowship program thing with Gallery 221A, if anyone's familiar, where she designed a big garden that's over around Union and Gore. And it's like Coast Salish like shapes that the plants are made into, and it's quite a big space. I would really recommend going and taking a look at it. I think it's closed today, but I'm not sure. I'm not there, so who knows?
Which center?
220. Yeah, Gallery 220. But the space is 271 Union Street, I believe. And it's like an outdoor space in between two buildings that has a fence on either side. There's so many native plants there that Cease very thoughtfully designed the garden there, and I started learning a lot about plants there and took on that project. So I've been working with the plants on that site since I think 2019. And yeah, so I've just been super lucky to have plants in my life for a long time, and even luckier to have met Cease and Heather and lots of people through lines that have encouraged my learning and growing through plant medicine. And I definitely wouldn't call myself an expert by any means, so it's a little bit awkward for me to be up here, I feel like, but I can talk. So that would do.
You know a lot more than you're saying.
Let's just take that in. We know a lot more than we say. So we have just under an hour together, so I thought we could just get right into it. I was grabbing my purse today, and I have a million purses. I'm not sure if all of you have a million purses, but each one seems to have its own medicine that I carry around in it. This one was oil of oregano, which I actually can't really use because it's too strong for me, but I put it on the bottom of my feet. That's a new thing. So, so I thought, so the first question that we thought we could give to you all is, when you're thinking about making a first aid kit, what are the 5 things that you would always have with you, and and why?
So we all given those questions yesterday, and I've been thinking about it a lot. So I used to work at Wish, and it was eventually the kitchen. Supervisor, and Wish.
Which?
And so working with volunteers in that kitchen and working with peers in other kitchens that I've been in, an important thing to me is having ground up yarrow. So if someone cuts themselves, like I did yesterday, I have the ground up yarrow to stop the bleeding and start consuming the wound faster than if you just left it. But I don't really work like that to have a first aid kit. How I work is more kind of like, if I get stung by a nettle, can I see a plantain on the ground and rub the plantain onto my stung hand, and just like knowing the plants as they are still growing, and using these medicines like when they're there just naturally. And the other thing I do is make salves for people in the Dr. side to have for free, and making sure that their burns and abscesses and infections are taken care of, and the wound healing is like provided for, so calendula and mullein and sunflower, and then fireweed for pain, and yeah, just knowing what you can do to take care of the people around you is the most important medicine to have in your kit.
You also have a little book that you made. You should talk about that.
I just love to. Thank you. So I was really lucky to meet Heather because I met her in the fall last year, and I was talking to her about how I had all these medicines that we grew at the Astoria Gardens and that I've like collected just from walking around and trying to really like be present. And I told her I had all this red medicine and didn't know how to distribute it into the community. And she said, if money's the only thing you need to distribute medicine into the community for free, then here's $400 and make as many salves as you can for the east side. So that's when I did this salve for people, and I'm going to do another, and I think we've distributed 500 of them so far, and I still have money left. So I'm going to be making one for insect bites and sunscreen to distribute over the summer.
Show the book. Just hold it up. Everybody can see it.
Yeah,
super
if anyone
cute.
wants one. I don't know.
Super cute
like a
little
YouTube
herb
thing
book.
now.
Nice little drawings and everything. Yeah, it's dangerous sitting next to me. Now you know. Jazz used to it. Jazz throws me off just on purpose. Just wait. It's gonna happen. Yeah. Okay, I can do just 5. I'm sorry. I'm excessive. So let me share the top 5 plus 5 that rose hips, high in vitamin C. They grow everywhere. There's tons of them. They make even billions more plants every time you cut them open and spread them. So really great. Great for pollinators, great for us. Really great for the birds too when they get to eat them. Don't ingest the seeds. They've got a nickname. It's called itchy bum effect. So that's why we have to work hard to take the seeds out of the middle of the rose hips. But yeah. Licorice rhizomes, right? They're just everywhere on maple trees and mosses, and if we're lucky we find it on mossy rocks, because I'm a really short bear trying to climb a tree to get licorice fern is hard. But yeah, I'm always happy when I find the licorice fern growing close to the ground. And that's like a food we roast in the winter, but now we can just eat it whenever. And if you're ever on a nerve walk, I'm pretty much stuffing that in your mouth. Eat this and you'll like it. I'm not a violent, I always ask consent. Do you want to eat this? Feed yourself.
You're having
Stinging nettles, because yeah, they're just so great. And even the name just sounds kind of horrifying. Stinging nettles. But yeah, they're great. I love actually to sting myself with them because they help arthritis. And they also make people horrified when they see you do it. It's kind of fun to watch people's reactions. Like, don't do that! I'm like, I'm gonna do it! And I'm gonna like it! And yeah, and I do. And it's great to like sting myself. Yeah, whipping people with stinging nettle, even better. 50 Shades of Stinging Nettle. Let's go with that. Okay, ginger. Ginger, leaves, and rhizomes. I'm talking about the wild ginger, not talking about, even though I've got Hawaiian roots, and I do love that ginger, one of the 13,000 varieties in the world. This is not in that family, it's in its own family, because, you know, ginger's like that. So it's a tiny little plant that is barely as high as one of my fingers, so, and it has the cutest, tiniest little orchids underneath the leaves. And you can use every part of it. Great for your digestion, also great for stir fry. So good for stir fry. Yeah, I once found a humongous patch of it and close to a clear cut, and it was going to be destroyed, so I sacrificed it to myself, and it was good. So delicious. lichens of different varieties because they boost our immune system and they clean out things that other plants can't quite get to. And Devil's Club, not only does the name sound badass, it really is a badass plant. And it helps with pain, arthritis, protects from evil demons. Yeah, it just has a name like that to scare the demons off or fool them. Arnica flowers, another pain thing. Poplar buds. I should also say that the really cool, like, Gaelic type name for this plant is balm of Gilead. Not bomb as in a bomb you explode, but balm that you put on to heal yourself. It just sounds badass to me. So cottonwood or poplar buds. Rose hips, I guess I put it twice because I love them so much. And hawthorn berries because they help your heart. Yeah, so I'm going to pass that on. And I also want to say that I use whatever I find. Like people will come to our garden. What's the tea? Garden tea. What does that mean? Whatever we have growing right now. So you just make a tea out of it and it's good. And I've also just healed people with plants growing around because I'm not the only clumsy person in my circle of life. And everybody around me seems to injure themselves all the time. And people that don't know that I know what I'm doing actually question if I know what I'm doing. And that's really funny too. Just like, you don't have to take the advice, but you'll feel better if you swish this plant on your finger. That's all I can tell you.
Cease and I were it's like a speed round, plant speed round. And this and this and this and this, and everyone's taking notes. Okay, faster this one.
Take it slow for you.
No, I'm not doing it. I can't. Yeah. I think we have a couple that overlap, but actually, it's last on the list, but I'll start with it. That I got like moisturizer in my eyes this morning when I was riding my bike here, and I've just been like blinking around all day. So if I'm giving you a dirty look, it's only a 50% chance. But I have the medicine for that. Not dirty looks, but hurting eyeballs. But one medicine that I use probably like more than anything, Cease mentioned wild ginger, but I actually haven't, like, I think I've eaten it a couple of times, maybe actually with you. And I can identify it, but it's not something that I've like actually like harvested myself or used. But just organic ginger that you can get at the grocery store or something. Like, I know we're here to talk about native plants, but I'm just starting with the one medicine that I use the most. I've had like a lot of trouble with ulcers, and like I know a lot of natives that have just general like stomach issues, like for lots of different reasons. I've had a lot better luck with, a lot of people say ginger tea and stuff. I have had a lot better luck juicing it myself. And like I have inflammatory issues, ulcers, you know, other things. Somewhat like in the past I've had issues with my skin, and I've just never had such a strong, potent medicine. And I'm sure there's different, more than one variety of wild native ginger, not just here, but where I'm from, and you know, different places around Turtle Island where it has really similar effects, and it's just such a potent, strong medicine that I feel like I can rely on it to be like very fast acting, and it's definitely been like one of the most, not only the quickest to work and the most consistent, I don't know what language to use to describe that, but like even other medicines that I have relied on and that I know work, when I don't know what it is, how it's been harvested, who harvested it, maybe where I got it from, you know, how I was, in what state, like spiritually, mentally, physically that I was in when I was harvesting it, like a lot of different things I feel like affect the way that those medicines work for you, and ginger's just never let me down on that one. It's just like doesn't give a crap, you know, how I'm doing that day. It's gonna do it for me. And like I've had back pain and hip pain that is like very debilitating, and a strong, spicy, like just pure ginger juice, no lemon and this other stuff that you get at the juice place or whatever, that's all sweet, that's whatever. Just spicy ass ginger juice, like a shot or 2 shots. And you don't want to leave that like sediment that's like a white sediment that kind of acts like cornstarch at the bottom, if you've ever juiced ginger. But there'll be like sediment at the bottom, you want to get that. I don't know what it is, but if you don't get it, it's not gonna feel as good and it works fast. Obviously if you have like a sensitive stomach, you want to take it easy at first, don't like just chug a whole bunch. I'm just like drinking it all day, like here and there when I need it, but yeah, you should always, take it easy at first to make sure that your stomach can handle it. One that I mixed with that one has been using a ginger, like a fresh ginger juice with calendula. Is it calendula? I think Cease gave me a like a tincture that was like super strong. And like a really dark red color. I don't know, I'm not sure what else would have been in it, but this was quite a while ago. Yeah, and putting that with the ginger juice was like crazy, because I feel like I have one of my, if anyone's experienced like just being like having a lot of chronic pain or inflammation, just being sore and like a bit tired all the time, and just like how it affects the way you can communicate, the way you listen, the way you like just move about. The way that you're able to be present, at work or even doing the things that you enjoy, not just because of the physical pain, but just the way that it changes your brain chemistry. Like it makes it difficult to learn and everything. That just like was such a potent, like fast-acting mixture for me. So I'm really glad to know that. Calendula also, like of course, I think most people know it for like skin issues and irritation. A lot, like you can just take the petals, I don't know, the like middle part of the flower, if it's different medicine for different things, but like the petals, I know Cease and I were just talking about how it can be used in the same way as you might use this small white flower that makes you fall asleep. What's that called? Chamomile. And is like, it can be used as an eye rinse or an eye wash. I could give irritated eyes, allergies. It's like allergy season right now. My eyes are full of lotion, so that'll be nice. Some chamomile tea in here. But yeah, also another one that's like, like once you plant it or once it's growing around, like it'll grow a bunch of those little flowers. You shouldn't, in my opinion, be buying it from the store unless it's, like, okay. Like, there's one, sorry, I'm getting carried away. I have one tiny copy. It's kicking in now. It's only one. There's a store on Commercial Drive. I might be wrong. It might not be there now, but I think it's still there. It's Mexican groceries place, and they have bulk, like high quality organic chamomile tea for like so cheap. Don't go buying Tetley's shit or like whatever, all weird stuff. It's not medicine. That's just like straight garbage, and it doesn't taste good either. So there's like literally no point. It's just a waste of money. Either grow it. It's not accessible for everyone to obviously have a big garden or anything, but it's not the hardest one to find. Calendula, a lot of people I find in Vancouver and smaller gardens do grow their own, so it's worth asking around if you have, if you have any connections with community members who have, who are part of community gardens or different spaces like that. Mostly picking, for this list that I'm not even too in on, couldn't speed it up like Cease. I also just have like, because to me when it says first aid kit, I'm like thinking the most, first of all, like compact. I lived in my van for a long time and I had, limited space, and like thinking about how you can like keep a lot of medicine in a small like little compact amount of stuff. So usually the things that I'm saying, like I would recommend if you're writing notes and stuff to look into each one, because I chose these based on more, that they all have a lot of uses. There's a word for that I don't know.
Multi-purpose?
Multi-purpose is a good word, but yeah, there's a word that's like, I think it specifically means like medicines, but that each medicine has like many uses. I don't know what the word is, anyways. Something, I don't know.
We're all
It's-
gonna guess.
It's like a science, it's like a science word.
That's where it
So calendula, yeah, it's antifungal. I don't know if you have smelly feet, you know, put it in your shoes, do a foot wash with it. What else do I have? Yeah, it's just good for rashes, burns, cuts, blah, blah, stuff like that. I think especially when we're down, you know, where we are on the downtown east side, like lots of people have skin, you know, wounds and issues, and skin health is like, I think for folks who haven't lived on the street or haven't used drugs, don't really underestimate the importance of keeping your skin healthy, because like a small cut can kill somebody. So it's just really, really, really important, and obviously the work that was being mentioned is just like, so it was like life-saving work, because it's like, you really underestimate, you know, something gets like slightly infected, you might not have feeling there, who knows what, and you're so sick, you can't do much. It's like, it's bad. And getting medical care, you know, as a drug user, as an Indigenous person, or for a lot of people, it's just, it's not happening the way that it should. So even if you do get medical attention, it doesn't mean that you're gonna get better. So just preventative care and like helping people keep their skin healthy is really important. Helping them, you know, fix that stuff. Sorry, clearing my throat constantly talking about allergies. Euro, that was mentioned before, another good one for skin issues, stuff like that. I know for me this has been a really big one for hormonal balance and like fevers. I haven't had such a strong medicine for fevers before, but one thing that I did notice is the year that I've used like Euro that was pretty fresh, and to me in my head, like I've never had any teachings around it necessarily, and I'm sure it's different for different plants, but that the fresh, you know, whatever part of the plant, in this case the leaf, would be like more potent than if it had been dried and processed. But I've had better, more potent, stronger Euro that has been dried. So I don't know if that's just my personal experience or if that's something that I'm waiting for a teaching about, but that I had been drinking it when I just felt, again, it's like kind of more of a preventative thing. I think if you already have like a really intense fever, it can definitely help. But it's amazing to see the difference, like between me and someone I was living with having like a bad fever. We clearly have the same illness at almost the same rate, and I was drinking Yarrow tea, very strong Yarrow tea, I'll add. But then that's like, I'm saying everything probably is, I need it really strong ginger juice, strong this and strong that, but everyone's different. So like, again, just for safety too, just always start a little bit at a time and work yourself up. Yarrow's pretty gentle, so is chamomile, so usually don't have any reactions, but everybody's different. But yeah, the rate that I got sick and then got better, and the severity of the fever, and I'm prone to, like, if I do have an illness with a fever, that I'll have a very strong fever, and I've had ear infections my whole life where, you know, caused by different types of inflammation. And getting rid of fevers is like another one for like first aid, if you want to call it, down here on the downtown east side. That's really important. Once you have an infection or whatever else, you need to get rid of a fever, because you can get really sick really fast. It means like, yeah, it's hard to come back. So that's Euro. And then for hormonal balance, like I said before, for those of us like who have a menstruation cycle and everything, cramps and you know, muscle issues and inflammation, during that time. Not only during that time, but like I said, preventatively, like using it throughout the month to brings you a lot of comfort during that time. It makes things way less severe, or has for me in my experience. Plantain is another one for, bites, stings, scratches, whatever, wounds in general, but also for stomach issues. Another one for ulcers and stuff like that, for folks who have sensitive stomachs. And actually, I've been kind of experimenting with it. Again, not something that I can really promote because I haven't been taught about it directly, but in my experience using it as like fiber. I don't know, like people use gelatin or like chia seeds or this or that, and it becomes this kind of like gelatin, like viscous stuff that's good for your stomach. Like that's kind of how you know if plant medicine is going to be for your stomach, right? If it's jelly, like weird like that, because it's like something for your stomach bacteria to feed off of, something for your gut flora to feed off of, so that it's not feeding off of whatever gross shit's in there, so that those bacteria support everything you do, down to the littlest part of your brain chemistry. So it's really important to keep your stomach flora healthy, and using plantain really is supported me in that, especially coming in and out of doing a lot of drinking sometimes, or partying, just not eating properly, not taking care of my stomach, and then I'm like, whoa, oh yeah, I'm really ill now, sweet. And I'm like, yeah, using plantain and tea and other things to soothe your stomach is poultice too, splinters, getting it out, putting it in a bath, things like that you can do. Mullein, so for those of you who have been around the southern interior, there's a lot of mullein. It's I would say one of the most easiest to identify plants. I'm actually not even sure if mullein is a native plant. It's very tall, kind of looks like corn, kind of big fuzzy leaves on it, yellow flowers that go in a long, strong looking stalk. Another plant that has tons of uses, but one that I've seen used a lot as tea for folks who have a bad cough, upper respiratory infections, stuff like that. Making teas with it. You can use it as a smoking mixture, which I don't know much about. You can do more research on that. But yeah, using it as a tea, and even just something that's really nice if you are not super. It's got a pretty mild flavor, so for those of you who are okay, well, I don't want to drink some grassy, herbally ass shit. I want it to taste good. You fry it up in a pan a little bit while it's fresh, if you get it fresh. Fry it up in a pan a little bit with honey and kind of caramelize the honey on it and then make it into tea. It's super good, so I recommend that. Also, if you have vanilla bean taste, if you're sick and you need to drink this for days, then make a really nice good tea that doesn't taste like crap. And then you're gonna be drinking it a lot. Make it enjoyable so that you drink it. And I think processing plants, processing medicines that you're trying to build a relationship and know more about, that you're using on a regular basis, I think that it's important to make a ritual out of it, for lack of better words. Build a ritual with it, like what I just described. Doing that with the mullein, or finding different things, even more simple than that, just to make it more. It's almost like giving a gift back to the plant, to be using it in a more fun way. And that'll just change your relationship with the plant and help you remember more about it, help you be able to teach other people more about it, and make it more enjoyable for people so that other people are more willing to learn and learn faster about it as well. Which is important, especially at the rate people are getting sick and stuff all the time. It's important that we share the knowledge that we have with each other sooner than later, I think. I think there's more. I said I could talk. Yeah, I think that's it. valerian, I've had the best luck myself. I never used it for, a lot of folks use it for being anxious, having anxiety attacks and stuff like that. And again, I think I would use it more as a preventative, unless it's like, oh, I'm having a panic attack, now I'm going to take some. But I have heard that it does work that way though. Maybe more as like a strong tea or something, and less as a lot of people have it in a capsule, like with it dried inside in a powder. I think that would be used more as a preventative. You take it more long term to help with sleep and stuff like that. Being anxious, just nervous system mellowing out. I think it does interact. It can be strong for some people, and it interacts with different drugs. So with any of the stuff any of us mentioned, obviously it's best to look up drug interactions and stuff like that. If you're taking other drugs or medicines, even topical medicines, I know like a lot of people don't even think to look up drug interactions when it comes to topicals, like salves, lotions, oils, stuff with plants in it. And people have sensitive skin, but it's like if you're taking one type of medication that already makes your skin sensitive, and then you want to use that stuff, you gotta know your stuff a little bit. So, and that's important information to share with folks who you are teaching, or you're like, you're like, oh, try this, but make sure you look this up first, so that you're not like accidentally making someone sick. I'll leave it at that for now.
So good.
Jazz, you talked about ritual and getting to know the medicine and getting to know the plant that you're working with. I'm wondering if we can then, if everyone can talk about the significance around how we harvest and the importance of how we create our medicines. What goes into that for you?
So harvesting for me is making sure that the plant is has the good medicine in it, and you especially like here in the spring, like seeing how many of the leaves and stems of everything are purple, and the purple is a signifier for good medicine. And so knowing that, and also knowing to take only what you need and making sure nothing gets wasted. So like only what you need, like if you're providing for a whole bunch of people, do you even have like the capacity at your house to like dry everything right now, or is this too much? Like, and making sure that you leave things for like the pollinators, and leaving things for other people to enjoy, and just making sure before you go out, I try to make sure my house is set up and ready to receive the medicine, because like I don't want to deal with all this like anxiety surrounding bringing back like a harvest home and putting that anxiety into the medicines. And when somebody like orders salves from me, I really like having a lot of time, because like sometimes I am going through it a lot. Like we're a human being. And sometimes I might not be able to like get my head to the right spot to be making salves. And if my head's in the wrong space and I'm trying to take care of the community, then those bad feelings are going into what I'm making for them, and that's not good medicine. And I think I got everything.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is having a relationship with the plants that you work with, and if you don't have a relationship, a really wise herbalist lady that I know, ethnobotanist on the island, Delarice Sylvester, she just said, take a piece of the plant and put it under your pillow so that you can dream about that plant, and that the plant will tell you what it's for. And you know, I've heard that from other elders too, from late elders that are no longer with us, and I enjoy thinking about how different people share what is important to them about plants. And I think even when people have different views, they're all very intertwined and interwoven, and it's the easiest thing to just be part of, you know, having a dialogue with that natural world. And plants you don't know are going to tell you what they are and what they do and how they are. And if you don't pick up on it right away, even interacting with it and thinking about it and thinking about the textures and the feel of the plant, that's all part of the work that goes into it. And for sure ethical harvesting. Like, I don't really personally encourage foraging. I actually encourage people growing their own food forests, because as humans, we're just taking everything over, and we really don't need to go into natural spaces and take things all the time. Sometimes there's things that might be in abundance or something that we can never grow ourselves. Sure. But I think so much is taken from the forest, and so I think part of the ethics of gathering are thinking about what we can grow ourselves. I mean, especially with mushrooms, you can grow everything in your house or in your backyard, or you can do a lot of that stuff yourself, and or you can do that with collectives. I think that's important. And I think growing mushrooms is really cool and bizarre and scientific and just really fun thing to do. And but I think also the ethics involve where we're gathering and who the people are, and not being full of excuses about why we don't ask people from the land about harvesting, because I listen to the elders up in my community in the northern part, north of the town of Squamish, and a lot of mushroom foragers go up there taking massive baskets of mushrooms out of there and Instagramming it. Oh, look what we got today, and none of that goes back to our community. So that sucks, and they're not teaching people in our community, so that really sucks. And because all that knowledge was really taken away, it's really hard for people learning that. And so I think it's really important to, as your ethics go, to think about where you're gathering and to take the time. I once said this at a big herbal conference in Olympia, which they've never invited me back to. Because they didn't like that question. I asked this room with 100 people in it, how many thought they were ethical gatherers, and they all put their hands up. And I said, oh, amongst those, how many of you talked to the local Indigenous people? And only 3 hands stayed up, and they were all the local Indigenous people. I was like, yeah, but we want to gather stuff. It's like, oh my God. Okay.
But we're hippies though.
We don't care. We're freedom, and we don't attach ourselves. We have no commitments. And I'm like, I know. It's like that song, I have no roots. It's like, that's a problem right there. When people don't have roots, and then they think they don't have to answer to anybody. I mean, as Indigenous people, we always have to answer to our people and the ancestors before us and coming ahead. So everybody else can have a big party and wipe out the yarrow patch and the Labrador tea and everything else, but we still have to rebuild that. That's actually why I started teaching youth how to rebuild ecosystems. And I mean, Jazz just keeps coming back. I'm like, do you want to do this job? And it's like we're going to have to buy soil and plants and drive around. And it's great because that's actually sustainable and investing in the future. And that's what we actually really have to do. And so I do think food forests are important. And if you don't have land, which most of us don't, by the way, I'm from here, I don't have any land, but I still make food forests everywhere I go, and guerrilla gardens are a thing. They will always be a thing. Thank goodness for that. And just thinking about what you're, there's always that saying when you're pointing a finger, you got 3 pointing back. That's called accountability. So when we're looking at ethics of gathering, think about what are you giving back to the future? Because it's not, we get to enjoy all of this. I've got to crawl inside 2,000-year-old cedar trees. I want my grandchildren and great-grandchildren and so on having that experience. So that's what we all got to do. That's our work. It's like, put the ethics into everything you do so that you know that you're doing your part. It's like every tree you plant is a good thing for sure, but make it hundreds of trees. Don't just plant a few hundred. I certainly do every year. You can ask Jazz, because Jazz right there doing that. Yeah, I make Jazz do all the work. I just direct. It's the benefits of getting older and beat up more. You can't carry. I like getting lift that. Meanwhile, I'm doing push-ups on the side. I make Jazz work hard. Always. But anyway, those are the things that are important to me, and what can we give back? Because people that taught me, they said always, give offerings, and that was a very open thing. I was like, offerings, could it be like I plant another forest as an offering? Don't just give a tobacco offering, or don't just give a piece of the plant, but think about how much more of that plant you can promote and save. Seed saving does that. People giving seeds away and throwing seed nuggets and all the things that we can do. We can be more ethical. We can call ourselves out on things we understand that we're not doing right. And nobody's perfect, but it's just, you gotta just keep striving for doing things better, is all I can say. Because, when I started out, I didn't have any teachers that I could just go to. I had to find a teacher from Ganawage, from actually Six Nations. And so, although I had my teachers, my father, my grandparents, they taught me a bit, but I learned a lot more about medicines from a woman that came far away from my nation, because she came out to the West Coast to teach women here and to also build networks with women. So I thought that was important. And so she said that my work was to always go out and teach, and that's why I do what I do, because you gotta listen to your elders. And this knowledge is so important. And when I see young folks like Jazz and other folks I work with really loving it and embracing it, it's amazing. Because that knowledge that wasn't yours to hold on to forever is going somewhere and staying alive, a living document and living and breathing. And that is the most important thing, is give the youth the knowledge and the power and empowerment. That's the most ethical thing we can do.
Yeah, I think a big part of it is, sorry, can you say the question again?
Well, you plant seed. You were talking about the ritual with when you're about to make a medicine or take a tea. You talked about you were encouraging us to have a ritual around that. So the question is, what's the significance of that? Why is that so important?
Yeah, I think I would like to say that I spend the most time with plants through connections with other Native people, whether I'm at home or here or there, but I think the fact of it is that just because of how accessible moving around is, foraging, if you want to call that in different ways, it's just not that way. So when you go to a farmer's market or, different places like that, or even like artesian markets where there's not necessarily like fresh produce or whatever, but there's medicines, if you can call them, and different stuff, skincare products made of native plants and this and that, but those interactions, I feel like, to me, my responsibility, especially becoming somebody who lives on the coast here, happens everywhere, but living at home, I have a different responsibility. Now I'm not on my ancestors' land anymore, I have a different responsibility here. My role is different. Teaching is obviously a huge part of it, but I think people, I don't know if underestimate is the right word, but there's so many ways to teach. Like there's, you know, I can be in conflict as a way to teach. I can be, you know, how do I say that, like taking my whole self back a step and becoming really quiet in order to teach by listening, if you know what I mean. And, you know, there's so many ways to do that, and you really have to learn, you know, it's not everybody's gift, it's not everybody's skill, so you just need to kind of find the different ways that you can be good at it and how you can be successful at teaching in different ways. But for me, I find the places where it's most important, you know, as a settler here, is to be able to question people who always turn that type of teaching into conflict. For example, if I run into some hippie selling like mushrooms or some shit at the farmer's market or something, who clearly has no idea what's going on outside of going and picking mushrooms, like, how do I be in conversation with them and leave open-ended questions for them to learn themselves without making them feel, you know, a certain way. And sometimes that's not the priority, sometimes you just have to teach them a lesson. But like, a lot of the time it's worth taking your time and being patient, and you know, people have different ideas on it, and it depends on how much energy you have, you know. Is it a lot of work spiritually and emotionally for you to take that time and talk to people in that certain way? Well, then step back from it and find a different, better way for you to you know, do the same thing. But I think, yeah, it's about pushing yourself to learn. You have to learn to teach. It's back and forth. It's never one way. So it's like you take a step back, take a step forward, learn different ways to teach, learn different ways that people learn. That's how you have to learn to teach. It's not so simple as like giving information out, because that's like not how people learn. I don't know if anyone's been through the Canadian school system, but like, yeah, people can stand in front of you all day and talk about all the things they know and make you write tests, and that means nothing to most of us. I'm pretty sure nobody really learns like that. So you have to like actually learn how to teach, right? And everyone learns differently, so it's a lot of work. It's a whole lifetime life of work. And that's a pain. Yeah, so in terms of more of the like intimate personal relationship with plants outside of responsibility, the relationship of responsibility, like I said before, it's like making it, I think taking care of yourself and learning medicine is it can be almost traumatizing in a way, because it's like you're sick or something wrong, like, you know, there's something wrong, you're trying to figure out how to fix it. And like learning how to fix something and finding out like, oh, this is why I need this, oh, this is why I need this, that's like really hard, and it can be really emotional, and it can be like really intense. So you need to make it feel good, and not just make it feel good because you're getting better from the medicine itself, but make it feel good because you're working to build a relationship. And if you've like experienced this yourself, you know what I'm talking about better. I'm using kind of vague language, but like building steps to feel closer, just like you would with a person or a pet or something, you know, like, you know, planning it out a little bit, or at least feeling your way through it in a bit of an organized sense. That's what works for me. Everybody's different, obviously, but planning it out to figure out, not just Googling stuff or doing research or whatever, but actually physically spending time with plants. And it's something that's like the thing that I feel like I am the most lucky, you know, of all the things that I learned as a kid, like that it was always just, it never really had to be taught to me. It's just the way that it was, that plants, just like animals and just like your relatives. So like learning really what that means, not just written words of what that means or like to say it, because people really just go around saying it all the time these days. But yeah, treating plants as your relatives because they are, and they're there, you know, to witness, you know, at times their downfalls and even other things like celebrations. Some medicines used in a celebratory way, others this, that way. So it's like, that is what the personality of the plant is. That is like what it's there for. That's, you can learn about what it's there to teach you about through those interactions and through thinking about things that way. It gives you like a lot deeper sense of like, okay, well this medicine is for my stomach because I've been not treating my stomach right. Then building your relationship with it and going, oh well, like what am I actually doing that's, what am I lacking that plant is giving back to me? And then how did that plant come to have that, like even learning about evolution, learning about, you know, other cultures' uses of similar plants or similar like families of those plants, for example, ginger, like I was saying earlier, stuff like that. Like there's just so much stuff you can learn about, and it, deepening your relationships can look like a lot of different ways. Yeah. I don't know if that answered it. What you were saying.
So you have all walked such amazing pathways and do such fierce work. So, and Alicia, you talked about being in the Wish Kitchen. So I was wondering, just as we begin to like wind down, if each of you could share one of your stories of using plants on the front lines.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I make the salves to give out at the downtown east side. I work with Heart Tissue Society, and so that gives me the ability to distribute at a really big level. It's just like as much salves as I can make, I can stand there and hand them all out. And so these salves that I was making, I would give to Heart Tissue Society and hand them out myself. I brought them to OPS, and then I've made the teas for the barbecue as well to make sure that, like going into cold season, I'll make something that has like is good for coughs and infections. So it'd be like viola and oregano and some sweetgrass. And so I've seen these salves work in the downtown east side, and then I work with xʷməthkվəy with Rhonda Stevens, and with xʷməthkվəy I make a salve specifically for elders because I use loose tallow that I cooked myself, and then I also do a CBD salve for pain, and we try to get those out to people that are experiencing any sort of physical pain. And those have been my most big parts of working in the downtown east side. I don't know if anyone's heard, I'm sure everyone's heard the news of Trey Halden passing away. And so I have in working in the downtown east side, and with my own experience with drugs and alcohol, I've made this grief blend with dandelion, root, mint, oat straw, sweetgrass, calendula, and St. John's wort that I'm going to go give out to a couple of my friends that are having trouble leaving their house right now. And so this is the kind of frontline work I try to do with the medicine, because I don't really have the emotional capacity to, like even right now, to be an outreach worker or to be working at a harm reduction site. And I just really try to do as much as I can with food and with medicine, and starting to get this medicine knowledge, and working with the Astoria Garden and working with colonialism has really helped me to figure out how to be there for the people in a way I didn't really think I could be. And so I've also been doing these little containers of tobacco with tobacco flower and some medicine seeds in them, so that anyone in the downtown east side can lay tobacco for trade and have medicine growing where they did lay it for him. And that's how I can work with medicine in the front line.
Yeah, medicines are so important, and it's really good to see the different ways people use medicine to reach out to people. And for sure I do a lot of gardening. That's my thing. I need to be on the land a lot. And you know, when I have to think about a story to tell, I went back to a long time ago when I had a really bad car accident, and I ended up becoming agoraphobic. And I lived in the downtown east side in an illegal artist studio, and the only person that was supporting me, tried to stay there, was the late Jim Green, and he was the mayor at the time, and he was really supportive of me having this illegal housing situation. But having that studio kind of saved my life, and I think he knew it, because I lived in a house next door to him for years, and then moved down the street. And then, while I was there, I had this accident. It was really terrible, and so bad that I didn't really know who and where I was. I don't even know how I got home from the accident, but apparently drove. And it was a terrifying experience to live through for a few years. And I had a lot of different symptoms that when I did go out, people made a lot of judgments on me. I actually couldn't do any drugs at all. I couldn't even smoke weed, which really bummed me out. Because it's like, at least if you can smoke weed when you're in pain, it's like, geez, right? But I couldn't do that because of the dizzy spells. I certainly couldn't take opioids. I'm allergic to them. I tried doing Tylenol and Advil and all that stuff. So I really struggled with every kind of over-the-counter painkillers. I had to really develop my own toolkit of pain meds, and all that is mostly herbs and foods that I eat to deal with, anti-inflammatory stuff. Like a lot of what Jazz just said, I actually go through a lot of that. And I can't take a lot of meds. I'm allergic to a lot of pharmaceutical things. So it was really weird over the last few years. People have come forward to tell me that they actually believed I became a really street-entrenched drug user, and I was like, oh, I can't even do any of those drugs. They're like, yeah, but you got really skinny and you were really walking around like all over the place. I'm like, yeah, I remember going to a few events and having to lean against the wall or a pole in like a beam or something in the venues, and I just stopped going because it was like people literally believed I was really high on drugs, and I was like, wow, you can just ask me? So it's kind of, that place I came out of that was really like dark, and the thing that saved me was art. I just stayed in my studio and I illustrated a book for my mom, and it was like, I just kept drawing more things. I did 32 pictures for your mom, and she was my mother passed away about a year ago, and a year ago tomorrow to be exact, and when I was making those drawings, she was intense. She was like, have you got them done? I'm like, geez, Mom, I've just made one, I showed you. She's like, make more. so I actually used that and fueled her motherly way of, keeping me busy, and I used art to heal myself, and I stayed indoors. I stopped going out. I became very agoraphobic, but that was good for a while. It was not good forever. It's like I'm a really social person and really love to be around people, so it was really challenging. And then there were actually a couple of young gals that I had taught a couple of years before in in a project called Purple Thistle, and it was kind of an uninstitutional institute. And so anyway, these gals, they were like, they wanted to work with me, and they kept showing up, and I'm like, okay, fine, I'll go out with you. But I didn't want to leave my place, and it was the best thing I did was going out with them. And they took me back to the land where I needed to be, and it just, everything started to feel better just being on the land. And so when I talk to people about going to the land, hugging trees, it's like, I'm talking about things I've done that I know work, that I've literally witnessed transformations happening in people doing this, you know, and even a whole group of healers I brought to the land, and they were like heavy and depressed, and they asked me to come to this beautiful forest retreat, and they were like heavy, and I'm like, okay, we can't walk anymore, go hug trees for 10 minutes. Some of them were wailing, and some of them were giggling, but they all came back renewed and changed, and you know, and so I did that for myself, and I went to the land, and I sat with these two young women, and we just sat there in the forest, and you know, people are walking on the path around us, but we're there, and that's what brought me back, you know, and I thought, I gotta just keep staying on the land. I can't actually be away from the land, because the land is actually what's feeding me, it's feeding every part of me. And in that time, like, several people in my community told me my spirit was gone, and I knew they were right, because I didn't know who I was. And yeah, and they were like, your spirit's gone, we gotta bring it back. So this couple came and they helped me, and they told me it's far away from you, and they told me what to do, told me the work to do, and they told me how I'd feel it coming back to me. And so, you know, I really listened to them, and I really appreciated what they did for me, and thought about how powerful it is for these people in our community that can see things that we can't all see. And, you know, just they asked me to burn a candle, and at the end they read that candle, and everything that was in there was actually so accurate, it kind of terrified me. But I worked on bringing my spirit back, and I realized, you know, that that's what it was being on the land, that I had to be on the land more, I had to be outside more, in all weather. I just need to not be detached from the land. And I've just really seen people shift when they're indoors all the time, and they get really anxious or really withdrawn, or really have a hard time being around others. And you go on the land, and it just changes you. It helps you so much. It just heals you from places you cannot reach with other things, other means, right? So for me, going back to the land, that was my own story of, you know, it meant a lot, because it was young people that came and said, get out of the house. I'm like, I don't want to go. I'm just going to stay in here and draw, you know, and not have a life. But that changed me, and it reminded me of the power of young people, and that, you know, never underestimate yourself and what you matter to others, and how you affect others.
Yeah, I think there's a few stories in particular that I can think about, like frontline stories where people were using plant medicines, but I think the more, not that those stories aren't important, but I think that the more powerful thing in a general sense that works for a lot more people, rather than focusing in on like specific stories of how plant medicines work, because like I was saying earlier, it's different for everyone, and you need to learn that, you know, for your own self. That it's about, like Cease is saying, like the general connection of it, and like how you go about that's gonna look different, you know, for each person. For some people it's like, oh, you go fishing, or some people it's this or that. Some people just need to go to like a public park if that's, you know, the only place you can get to, or you can come to my garden at 271 Union Street. Yeah, stuff like that. So it's about the wholeness or the oneness with, you know, connecting. Not as much about like little individual stories stories as much or experiences. It becomes clear, like I think when you are able to spend the time, like the time connecting, the time growing plants too. I think a part of the thing that I missed on the last one on the question was like something that also Cease kind of mentioned was the responsibility to like be growing plants instead of foraging a lot of the times. I think especially if you haven't even done the research to see if that plant can be grown in a garden easily, then like you definitely shouldn't be picking it out of anywhere else. Like that's like pretty basic, I think. Like you don't even know how hard it is to grow the plant, so why are you even touching it at all? That makes no sense to me at all. But people do it all the time, right? Take that, that should be the very first thing that you look up. How is the plant cultivated? Like, how does it grow? How does the seed spread? Where does it grow? Why does it grow there? Is it a wetland plant? Is it this? Is it that? Before you even look at what the uses of the plant is necessarily, if that's not what you do first. And then, like I was saying, like, just put it in a garden. Obviously not everyone has access to space to be growing plants and stuff, but I think in Vancouver, especially like if you're a settler, you can take the responsibility up to figure out where the closest community garden is, and like Cease says, guerrilla gardening, putting seeds in public parks where you don't think that they're going to get weeded out and taking the risk that you might have bought, $10 worth of seed, that can go a long way, $10 worth of seed or seedlings. Planting them somewhere, and the worst that happens is they get chopped down and you get to try and find another spot. So yeah, that's worth it. That's what's up. That's how you're gonna learn like a lot of stuff really quickly, I think. Yeah, I think that's it.
One of my favorite things to talk about is that Cease took me and my school, my kids' school, and all their parents through the forest, and she shared with everyone how there's medicines growing everywhere, and the indigenous medicines that are here, the indigenous plants that are here, everything has a medicine, and are just like we're here in this space, and we all have our own medicine. We all have our medicines, and I'm so grateful for the medicines that you three carry. Thank you so much. And for Heather for the medicine that she carries in this space, and for all of you for the medicine that you carry, for being on the front lines, and being tattoo artists, and all of that. So, thank you for sharing those.